deadline. I want to thank all the employees of the Translation Bureau, the Parliamentary Publications, our committee analysts and the clerk, many other assistants who made this miracle happen. Hear, hear. As well, Mr. Speaker, to all Canadians and to my constituents, and to all members here, I want to wish all a very Merry Christmas from my family to yours, and we hope you all have a very safe holiday and come back in the new year refreshed and ready to do the right thing for all Canadians.
Introduction of private members' bills. Ms. Rempel, seconded by Mr. Nicholson, moves for leave to introduce a bill entitled An Act to Amend the Criminal Code, Bestiality. This motion is deemed adopted. The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to introduce an act to amend the Criminal Code Bestiality. On June 9, 2016, the Supreme Court ruled that the criminal code provisions around bestiality do not adequately define which sex acts with animals are prohibited. Consequently, the Supreme Court upheld an acquittal of a British Columbia man who was charged with bestiality after compelling the family dog to sexually abuse his daughter. This case makes it obvious that a loophole for sex abusers to avoid conviction exists. This case highlights the need for updated legislation to keep both humans and animals safe. The current law is reflective of an archaic understanding of sex, and this change the bill seeks to make reflects the language of the Supreme Court ruling and frankly is a no-brainer. The Liberals should have introduced legislation to correct this issue immediately after the ruling. Nearly a year and a half later, I hope that tabling this bill today will encourage the Prime Minister to stop dragging his feet and take action to make this common-sense change.
Ms. Rempel, seconded by Mr. Nicholson, moves that the bill be now read a first time and be printed. This motion is deemed adopted. When shall the bill be read a second time? Sorry.
First reading of this bill, première lecture de ce projet de loi.
I'm sorry, I jumped over there. Now I'll ask the question I was supposed to ask before. When shall the bill be read a second time? At the next sitting of the House. Mr. Davies, seconded by Mr. Canning, moves for leave to introduce a bill entitled An Act Respecting the Development of a National Strategy on Student Loan Debt. This motion is deemed and adopted. The honourable member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm honoured to rise today to introduce this bill, the Student Debt Relief Act, with great thanks to my seconder, the hardworking member from South Okanagan, West Kootenay. This legislation provides for the development of a national strategy with the objective of reducing student loan debt. Too many Canadian students have been forced to assume a crushing debt load simply to receive an education. According to the Canadian University Survey Consortium, the average Canadian student will now graduate with over $26,000 in debt. This legislation looks to reduce student loan interest rates to prime rate, introduce incentives to complete a degree including loan forgiveness, and establish rewards for on-time payments of loans, such as the possibility of interest rate reductions. New Democrats believe that every Canadian student who studies hard should be able to access a world-class education without going deeply into debt. So I call on